Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Rolling Dice with me, Tony Vice. Today is Gaming Archeology. We will be talking about a game from 1800, exactly 1800, called, sorry, I'm getting over a sickness, The Mansion of Happiness. Let me show you the game board that I printed off from the Library of Congress, and I'll give you some backstory on why I even have this. Boom, there we go. There you guys go. Look at that beauty. Very pretty. There we go. So the Mansion of Happiness, an instructive, moral, and entertaining amusement. Created by a man named George Fox, a children's author, game designer in England. Originally published by Laurie and Whittle in England. One of 3 publishers that actually had this game. It originally came out and it was it was a lithograph, black, straight black for the first edition from what I've read. The whole reason that I even got into this is I was asked to do games at my hometown's birthday party. They do an annual party at the community center there. The town was incorporated 1892. I live in Washington State, so to a lot of you, that's like not that long ago if you live on the East Coast. But I needed to find games that would have been in that time period, and I was like, had some ideas. Originally, they wanted me to do jacks and hula hoops and things that seemed really lame and boring, and I didn't want to do that. My second thought was to create something that incorporated our town is known for having cheese. We had cheese factories in the early 1900s, and I was thinking about doing something like that DCC that would have been really wacky and fun, but I decided to keep it more traditional and more historic. So I did some research. The 2 games I found were one was Snakes and Ladders. That was a game that kids had played back then. I think it was originally from, I want to say, India. This isn't about that, but uh, that was the first one I found. Found a copy of that at the Goodwill and had that on hand. The second one is the one I researched was this, The Mansion of Happiness. So it's very focused on virtue and vice, and we'll get into that a little bit. The main points of this game is you go around the board. It spirals. If you saw the picture, it spirals around to the middle to the Mansion of Happiness, which, in my opinion, was sort of like heaven. You want to land on the virtuous spots, and those virtuous spots I will read here. I have some of them because I can't read the board very well because I can't see. Piety, honesty, temperance, gratitude, prudence, truth, sincerity, humility, industry, charity, or humanity. There's also vice spots, and there's other, there's such things. If you have land on a vice spot, you might go to the whipping post, the house of correction, the pillory, and the stocks. Those are some spaces you could land on. Worse spots that you can land on that are not good, that take you all the way back. There's 67 spots on this board. You land on one of those 2 spots, you go back to space 1 and start all over again. Is prison and ruin. So things can take you to ruin, and then you go right back to space number 1, have to start all over again. So kind of that's in the nutshell how this game works. Something that really struck me about this game is it really reminded me of the game of life, the modern game of life, for a couple reasons. The board where it goes around and you're going on spaces and you can move forward, go backward, not so much of that part, but just the things that were involved with it. Turns out this game, as I did more research over the 13 editions it had over 126 years, was it inspired the game that eventually inspired the modern game of life. Another thing that really I noticed doing my research in this game, what they use instead of dice, because dice, or gamblers use dice, that's not a very very virtuous thing. They used a thing called a teetotum. So the teetotum was made originally. The ones they used were made of ivory, and it was like a top. So you got pointy part of the top, and then you had originally in the original game you had an octagon, again, ivory plate that went on that. One thing that I've tried to do the research on to find out what kind of numbers were on that eight, was it 1 through 8? Was it 1 through 4 twice? I'm not sure. I still wasn't able to find that out. I'm hoping it was 1 through 8 because running this game with a D8 when we ran it at the birthday thing, it took a long time. And another thing that I want to point out is, again, the publishers that had this, I was wrong. There are 4 publishers. My mistake. The deal is the second publisher. So Laurie and Whittle are the first ones that published from 1800 to 1843. The second publisher that had this game in England again was W and S.B. Ives, a family that had they published it from 1843 to 1860, and then one of those people's sons had it from 1860 1864. He was the third publisher. I kind of just lumped them in together, same last name. Um, and he did the 9th edition of the game in 64. Uh, 20 years later, in about 20 years later, 1886, Parker Brothers picked it up in the United States. And they published it from 86, the 10th printing, through 1925, the 13th printing. And it was released through the year 1926, it looked like. And the difference with the teetotum there is something else that changed, other than Parker Brothers changed the rules. And I found this rule set here. I'll link these links in the show notes down below. But so you can look, you can do your own research, look this stuff up yourself. But they changed the rules. There were a lot of things in this first rule set that we looked up that I found to run this game at this party. There are a lot of spaces on this board that didn't make any sense. I'm like, what are these? Why are these here, but they're not mentioned in the rules? Turns out the original rules really does talk about all the spaces on this board. There's a lot of those pictures actually have different things that they can do. But Parker Brothers, when they first put it out, they had just a cardboard spinner, like we see in like Candyland. I think has a spinner, a spinner. But yeah, again, back to the teetotum. That's where it really reminded me of the Game of Life that I'm familiar with the 80s version with the spinner in the board. A spinner, it's a top type of spinner, teetotum, and a spinner of the Game of Life. Really, the first thing I thought of was life. Oh, this is like life. This is like almost exactly where they pulled this whole game from, or life from. Was this? Turns out it was inspired the game that life came from. History of games. The rules, um, again, Parker Brothers kind of toned it down. They put it in a box when they first got it, an actual board game box, the drawer where you get your pieces out of. I guess their last version, their 13th, from what I've read on the Wikipedia page, was they went back to a teetotum, not ivory but wood, a wood stick, pointy stick, and they used a cardboard hexagon for their plate. So it went from I'm guessing it went from a 1 to 8 to a 1 to 6. The other thing that I noticed about the rules change was the original rules at the very end of the game. If you don't land exactly on the mansion, you keep circling around the mansion until you finally land. There's a lot of other rules in this too. Until you land on the exact spot. If you didn't roll it on the Parker Brothers one, then you just lost your turn. And again, with this, the virtues and the vices, like I read some of those off. You you land on ruin or prison, you go back to space one. You could be on space 58 or whatever, wherever that's at on that board. You're all the way back number one, and that game it can take a long. But yeah, that is the Mansion of Happiness in a nutshell, and I wanted to at least share this with people because I'd never heard of it before and wasn't familiar with it. I thought maybe people would be interested in learning about this game And I thought it was a good way to start the gaming and archaeology series off with this. Um, sorry, I'm still getting over. It's been over a week now, but excuse me. Like I said, all the links will be down below. Next episode, we are going to discuss Zine Quest coming up on Kickstarter in February. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've purchased off of Zine Quest. I will talk about what I'm going to be offering on Zine Quest for my first foray into the publishing world. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. I think it'll be fun. I'm excited about it. Obviously, or why would I be doing it? But yeah, so I'm glad you guys are watching. See, a lot of people are checking out the past video. Great. I totally down for comments, suggestions. There's something you want me to look up or look into, might be fun. I could take a look at that. Hopefully my my new camera comes in, so I can get rid of this. Hopefully upgrade to some newer equipment, so we're not looking like I'm on public access TV. So hopefully you guys get something out of this and check out those links. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks for showing up. Bye.